Hey, what have you been up to these days? You know, just washing my hands a lot, mostly, and not going outside. And sourdough pizza. Me too. Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well, hanging in there with the self-isolation situation. I love how people are taking advantage of this time to explore things they've always been curious about. Like, I've gotten so many comments of people who are like, yeah, now would be a good time to try sourdough. I fully agree. I also think that you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. I think it's a really emotionally charged time, and we're getting all these bombardments like, use this time to learn 5 new languages and do all this stuff. And we have to take care of ourselves first and foremost. So I hope that you are doing that and prioritizing that. For me, something that's really helped me get through these past couple of weeks has been baking bread. I find that it's the thing. I'm about to give birth to a baby. Do you want to meet it? It keeps me engaged and feeling like I'm creating something, because I quite literally am, but also makes me feel productive. And there's a really cool app that I've been using to actually deliver my bread to people in my area who need it, which again just feels good, like I am doing something, like I am contributing. It's a really safe, contact-free way, so just so you know, we're taking all precautions. So baking bread and sourdough and having my hands in dough has made me sane, or at least more sane. And just a couple days ago, I was like, hey, sourdough pizza, that's a thing. I actually made some dough to become a loaf of bread, and then I was like, oh, you know what would be really good for dinner tonight? Pizza. So I actually have never made a sourdough pizza that I've been really happy with before. All of the pizza doughs I've made have added yeast, and they've all been really good, but I've been wanting to try making a sourdough pizza, and this kind of fell in my lap. I had this dough that I had prepared the day before, ready to be turned into a beautiful boule. I was like, wait a second, what if I transform this dough, this very dough, into pizza? And you know what? It worked really well. So well that Connor and I were blown away, and we had such a fun pizza party. Y'all, we had a dance party. A lot of you responded to my Instagram stories like, what is the sourdough pizza dough that you're using?
I love pizza parties.
Here's how you can make some bomb sourdough pizza right in your very own home. So since the first chunk of this recipe is quite literally the same as the sourdough bread video I posted last week, I'm not gonna go through it super detailed like I did before. I will walk you through the steps.
If you want a more detailed explanation of these steps, go to my how to make sourdough video. I'm linking to it below. That takes a little more time on the steps.
This is the same process up to a point. So I'll kind of zoom through those first steps until it changes a bit for the pizza. First thing in the morning when you wake up, refresh your starter with 25 grams of whole wheat flour, 25 grams of white bread flour, 25 grams sourdough starter, and 45 grams of warm water. 3 hours later, you will do your autolyse, mixing 450 grams of white bread flour, 50 grams of whole wheat flour, and then another 3 hours after that, now you'll do your dough mix. So incorporate the ripe starter and 10 grams of salt in with your autolyse mixture. I work my way around the bowl, lifting the dough up and over, and then kind of slapping it around until it feels well incorporated. Let that sit for 30 minutes. Then you'll do your series of stretch and folds every half hour, stretching it up and over, north, south, east, west, and then let it sit in the corner of your kitchen in a warm spot covered for another 3 hours. Dump it out onto a floured work surface. Do your pre-shape, so spinning it around till it roughly resembles a circle, and then about 20 minutes later, you'll shape it. So lifting up one side, bringing it into the center, lifting up the other side, bringing it into the center, lifting up the north side, the top, and bringing it up and over, and then shaping it into a round boule. Boule is a French word, and I'm pretty sure that it's like a bread word in general now, but if it's not, it's just boule is French for a ball, basically. So you're making it into a round ball shape. Dust your Banneton cloth liner or just a kitchen towel with rice flour, transfer the dough, pop it in the fridge overnight. About 15 hours later, this is the same point when you would otherwise take out the dough, score it with a razor, and pop it in the oven to become a boule. When you're making pizza dough, you're gonna take the dough out and then divide it into 4. But before we turn them into pizza, we've got to shape them and let them do just one last rise. Now get a baking tin that has some sides and put a wee bit of olive oil on the bottom, rub it around, because you're gonna put your dough in it in just a minute. Do basically the same routine to shape them here that you did last night, where you kind of pull up and over on each side and then up and over into a little ball. But now to create the taut skin on top of this, you want to use your pinky fingers. Put these little guys to work. Push down on the bottom of the dough as you're pulling it towards yourself. You'll notice that the dough on top becomes taut and that those fermentation bubbles that you worked so hard to create, or not really, you didn't work hard, time created them. They formed over the course of all this time since you started, and you'll see them start to really show themselves. Transfer this ball to your oiled sheet. Repeat the same thing with the other 3 balls of dough. For this final rise, it'll be between 4 to 5 hours. Closer to 5 hours on a cold winter day and closer to 4 hours on a warm summer day. You know what? It is beautiful in London right now. It feels like spring has fully arrived. It's sunny, it's getting warmer. Can you hear all the birds outside? Let's listen. I was just baking some bread, so my oven was on also. So this little fermentation corner of my kitchen is pretty warm. So today, this final proof is only for 4 hours. So now the easy part and the fun part, it's pizza party time. And before you start shaping, now would be a good time to preheat your oven. This is also the moment when you can take your dough, and if you're not ready to have all 4 pieces just now, then you can take those balls of dough, wrap them in an oiled plastic, and pop them in the freezer. Then anytime you want pizza, you don't have to think 36 hours ahead. You can just take them out, let them thaw in the fridge, so usually overnight is a good idea, and then they're ready to go. But for now, I'm hungry and I want to eat some pizza. So let's shape. Have some parchment paper, dust your work surface with flour. I also really like to put cornmeal on the parchment paper. All right, so take your first ball of dough, put it on the flour, and then gently, because you don't want to knock out the air that's in there, gently stretch it out into a round crust. I take it about as thin as I can without breaking any holes in it. Then gingerly pick it up and place it onto the parchment paper, and now you'll add your toppings. We're all working with what we've got in our pantries right now, so I have some canned tomatoes. So I drain those, blitz them up in a food processor along with a couple cloves of garlic, a little bit of salt, and that is my pizza sauce. And then you know the deal with pizza toppings, you guys. Have fun with it and whatever you have on hand. If you have a veg that's about to go bad, throw that on top. It's gonna be delicious, especially if you have some cheese to put on. That's always a good call. Ideally, it's great to have a pizza stone and work with that, and you wanna get the pizza stone really, really hot. So put that stone in there right before the oven starts heating so it heats up with the oven. I don't have a pizza stone, but I do have this squat Dutch oven that I use for my sourdough loaves, and so that works too. Basically, it helps to get whatever you're cooking it on incredibly hot. So if all you have is a tin sheet, you know what? Use that. Put that in the oven before the pizza goes on it though, because that's how you get that nice and crispy bottom that makes a really, really good pizza, in my opinion. Pop it in the oven for 12 minutes, rotating halfway through. It'll look ready. The cheese will be bubbling on top, the crust will be nicely browned, like a delicious pizza that you want to eat. With this one, I set my timer for 10 minutes because with 2 minutes left to go, I put an egg on it. And then those last 2 minutes, the pizza finishes baking and the egg cooks too. And then it's time to dig in and enjoy. There is something so celebratory about just having a pizza party. It's so much fun. And when you're locked inside your apartment or your flat or your home or whatever, it just injects joy into the entire day. I highly recommend it. It's so good. I could sell this. I could legitimately open up a pizza business. Well, maybe not right now, someday. I mean, look at that. Look at that crust. That is great. Let's try some eggy. Oh. Verdict, delicious. So with this, it's all about what are the random things I have in my fridge right now that need using. I'm really enjoying doing these videos for you guys. I know it's been a hot second since I have published every week. I have been writing a book, which I cannot wait to share with you guys. But now that the manuscript, I'm pretty much done with it. It's about to go to the publishing house. And now that I'm stuck at home, I am loving this. So please send me all of your suggestions for what else you want to see. On the sourdough front, I was thinking of showing you guys how I do sourdough pancakes, which is something I do pretty ritualistically every week because that way I don't have to throw away the sourdough starter that I discard every day. I just save it in the fridge and then I make a whole bunch of pancakes and that's super delicious and fun. Yeah, please let me know. Leave a comment below and I would love to hang out with you guys some more. If you like hanging out with me, I like hanging out with you. Don't forget to keep it quirky, obviously, of course, always. And I'll see y'all back here real soon. Peace.